Before I start introducing some important people, I want to take a second and kind of talk about how we got to this point. The prior AD before me, Denny Borzy, and one of our longtime coaches and teachers, Jeff Verkane, they wanted to find a way to incorporate and celebrate all the amazing athletes and graduates that we had from our Roseville Community Schools. So when they were throwing around ideas, we knew we did not have a Hall of Fame. And it's pretty common for most schools to have a Hall of Fame. It's to celebrate your athletes. It's something that's really prestigious that not many people get into, kind of like the professional Hall of Fames. So we came to that idea. So when I picked up the job in the fall, I took that idea and I met with former ADs from Brablec, from the old location Roseville High School, and from this Roseville High School. There was about 7 of us ADs. We sat down and we talked about what made a Hall of Famer, okay? Somebody that graduated 10 years ago, somebody who's gone on way past high school and done amazing things professionally and at the collegiate level. So those were some of the things we were looking for. After that, we met about a month later. We brought Hall of Fame type people that we thought could meet this criteria. We looked at over 80 athletes from Roseville Community Schools, and we nominated each about 8. From those 8, we voted, and that's the class that we see for today. That's our first class, the class of 2018. So congratulations. Now, like I said, this has been a long time coming. After dinner, we're going to walk you down to the basketball game, and at halftime, we'll do the actual induction in front of a bigger crowd. No pressure, okay? As we walk down there, you'll notice a brand new renovated athletic wing. You'll see that there's a consistent theme through that hallway, which started with this: we champions of one, celebrating the past and building the future. And that's what we're doing today, and we want to continue to do. You're part of Roseville. We want you guys to constantly come back. And now the Hall of Famers, you guys are stuck. You have to come back all the time because you're kind of a big deal now. All right? So now I'm going to pass it over. Mr. Clement, which is our superintendent of Roseville Community Schools, is going to say a quick word.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for making this special night a very, very special night. I've had the privilege, as I've often said, besides marrying my wife, I came to Roseville, and it's probably the best choice that I've ever made in my life. I've seen some of the finest people, and let alone athletes that could exist in the world, go through our schools. That list that Mr. Lefebvre talked about of 80 athletes, every one of them could be on the list tonight for what they have done to make Roseville a great place and what they personally accomplished. I feel so good about seeing some of you tonight and the familiar faces from the past and the memories, talking about some of the coaches that have contributed to the sports and the success of our athletes. It's just a great night, and I'm very, very appreciative that Mr. Lefebvre and Mr. Borzy put this together. And welcome to Roseville High School. The Wildcats and the Cougars are together tonight, and it's a new breed.
Next, I would like to introduce Mrs. Janae. She's the president of our school board.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. This is certainly something that this board has talked about for a long time, and we're great to see it come to fruition tonight. But I want to introduce just the board members that are here because there's just so much, everybody's getting hungry. So we have Jody Felice, our secretary. Mr. Matt McCartney, our treasurer. And our trustee, Greg Scott. Some of our other board members had some other engagements tonight. They had events they had to go to. So we all wish you wonderful. We hope to see you again. Come back and visit us and enjoy your evening. It's well deserved. Thank you.
I'm back. I have the honor also of introducing some of the politicians, dignitaries from our city that are here tonight to join in this activity. And I guess I'd like to start at this table over here. There's Councilman Charles Frontera, Mayor Pro Tem Jan Haggerty, Councilwoman Kathy Haw, her charming husband, who has been on the council, mayor, and was our state rep and represented education extremely well, Harold Haw. Councilman Jim Letitia. Steve Letitia. I had his brother in class and I can't forget him. Did I miss anyone? The mayor of the city of Roseville, a Brablec graduate, Bobby Taylor, and also Colleen McCartney, a Brablec graduate, city councilwoman. I think I'm done. Chris, you're back on.
Thank you, Mr. Kmet. All right, before we get started with the actual introduction, when we nominated and they get accepted into the Hall of Fame, we also asked an important person to talk about them. So we're going to serve dinner, we're going to eat, and after we eat, we're going to start our introductions of the amazing athletes we have here. Our hospitality students are going to start walking around and letting you know when you can go up and get your food. We're going to start from that side of table 1, and they'll let you know when you need anything. If you need something to drink or anything like that or use the bathroom, this is a great time. Okay? We're going to get started here with our introductions. There was a couple of important people that I wanted to mention at the very beginning, and they were happy that I forgot them, but I'm going to make sure that I introduce them. In the corner over here, we have our Boosters Club. I like them to stand up. Without them, when you guys... Without them, the Hall of Fame that we have in the athletic wing wouldn't have happened. They contributed a large sum of money to make that happen. We spent a lot of time talking about it. They believed the vision that we had for it, and they believed in our athletic department to be able to put that together. So I'm very gracious for them for that. I would like to also introduce Mr. Adams, which is our principal. Just a couple other important people. We have Gary Sheff, which is one of our assistant principals. Monica Gabriel, which is one of our other assistant principals. And the man that created it, Denny Borzi. He's in the back. He's one of our other assistant principals. I would like to also introduce Pete Hedmark, which is our human resource director. He's one of our assistant superintendents.
Stan the man Mizinski. My buddy Stan the man. Congratulations, buddy. Yep. Of course, we all know why Stan is here tonight. He was a great track athlete here at Roseville High School. Not much he couldn't do. Went on to Western Michigan, ran the high hurdles, low hurdles, 200, 4x1, 4x2, 4x4. He long jumped, did a little bit of everything, and he did it very, very well. Tonight, though, I would like to talk a little bit about our friendship and his love for his kids and grandkids who are here with him tonight. Stan and I met 25 years ago next month, although I'm pretty sure he doesn't remember meeting me the first time, but I certainly do. We were at Macomb Community College at an indoor track meet, and I was coaching track here at Roseville, and he was a De La Salle. We were introduced by a mutual friend. After spending about 90 seconds with him, I walked away and said, "My God, this guy should be a politician." He was that smooth. Little did I know that about a year later we would be coaching together here at RHS. I've been in the district since 1993. My favorite years here were the ones that we coached together and taught together. Quite honestly, some of the best times of my life. When this whole process was taking place, the two of us spoke at great length. I let him know that I was pretty sure he was going to get voted into the Hall of Fame. But when it actually became a reality, I can tell you that the excitement and honor this man felt was over the top. He sent me a text message that just screamed out, proud, honored, thankful, excited, overwhelmed with joy. I mean, he was that thrilled. I didn't think he could get any more excited, about this until he said to me, you know what, Pete, this is so exciting, but what makes this even better is that my kids and my grandkids are going to be here tonight to see me get inducted into the Hall of Fame. And that's, I mean, what does that tell you? I was like, wow, and that's through a text message. Yep. I've known the kids for about 24 years. Now, I can tell you they are also beyond excited for their dad and for their grandpa. I'd like to take a little bit of time to introduce them. Stan's oldest son, Chris, is here tonight with his wife, Crystal, and their son, Chase. Wave, let everybody know where you're at. All right. His oldest daughter, Susie's here, and she's here with her daughter, Leah. Leah, say hello, Leah. There she is. All right. His son, Matthew, is here with his wife, Jen, and their two kids, Zoe and Carter. Yeah. And unfortunately, Brittany, Stan's youngest child, was not able to be here tonight. But thank you, kids, for being here. This means more to your dad than you'll ever know. On a closing note, I would just like to say what an honor it has been to be a part of Stan's, or to be a part of the induction, his induction into the Roseville High School Hall of Fame tonight. Stan, I thank you for letting me be a part of this great achievement. Most importantly, though, I'm thankful for the 25 years of your friendship. Ladies and gentlemen, it's with great honor that I introduce to you 2018 Roseville High School Hall of Fame inductee, Stan Mizinski.
Hi. Holy moly, this is pretty nice. Well, I got up this morning and I had two things in mind. Did he see his shadow? And holy cow, it's Hall of Fame Day. So I looked at my clock in the morning and it was 8 o'clock, and I had my coffee and I kind of fidgeted around a little bit and I checked the clock. It was 8:02. And then a long time later, I checked the clock again. It was 8:04. So it's been a day of anticipation, I think, for all of us. And I must tell you, I am humbled, and I'm honored, and I'm happy. I'm totally delighted for everybody here today, and not just our Hall of Famers. What did I just say? Wow. Not just this crew, it's everybody who's associated with them. I want to thank Pete. Thanks, Coach. I want to thank Pete for his longtime friendship, and he's my brother from another mother, quite honestly. He was part of the family. I love the guy, and it's been a joy coaching with him and being his friend. From time to time, we meet for lunch, and it just occurred to me I've only got 4 minutes. So, sorry, Pete, I can't tell all the stories. We'll end up, well, never mind. Yeah, 4 more years. Yeah.
Go ahead, you can take
Yeah, I'll probably end up in jail.
You can take 5 minutes.
Oh, no, I'm not taking anybody's time. But I wanted to thank John Command, and I wanted to thank the City Commissioner, City Council, our mayor, and I wanted to thank the Board of Education and the Selection Committee. And I want to thank Chris Lefebvre, who's done a heck of a nice job getting this together with Mr. Borzi and my Bronco buddy. And I want to thank my teammates and my coaches for being a part of this with me. It's not just one thing going on here. It's not just me. It's everybody involved. There's a whole lot of people getting behind this. Okay, well, anyhow, I wanted also to acknowledge my coaches, my high school football coaches, Mr. Wilson, Maury Wilson, back in the back there. Thank you, Coach. He was our defensive coach, and I remember we were pretty good. And he ran that 5-3 defense, and we called them Wilson's Raiders for a good reason. And we made the paper with that name, and we kicked a little butt, and we took a few names too. And Bill Sherman, who was the other football coach at Roseville, I appreciate that. For track, here at the high school, Max Berry, or the late Max Berry, who was one of my all-time heroes, And he passed away some years back, but he was always kind of an idol to me, and he's in the Michigan Track Hall of Fame, and I think he went to Albion. Was it Albion or Adrian? Albion. I always mix them up. Sorry, Scots. Fighting Scots. Ron Jones was also a track coach here at Roseville at the time, and he's out in on the west side. He's an assistant superintendent, I think, out there, and I appreciate what he did. At Western Michigan, I had some pretty hefty coaches too. George Dales, who passed away just last year at 90 years old, and he was one of the U.S. Olympic team coaches, and he was also on the Olympic Committee, and he was also on the NCAA Rules Committee, so I had to do everything the right way. So consequently, I got in trouble with him. Of course I did. And then Bob Parks, who was the head coach, retired head coach at Eastern Michigan, but he recruited me at Western and was an assistant. He was the hurdle coach, and he was also a U.S. Olympic coach. So I had a pretty good bunch of people out there pushing my butt around and getting me in shape to do the right thing. When I got out of college and I came over here to teach for my first couple of years, I ended up being lucky enough to play a little semi-pro football. And I worked out with the Michigan Arrows, and the head coach was Lyle Wells. And Mickey Walker, he was the linebacker for the New York Giants at one time. And I wanted to thank them. They're not around today, but also with the Pontiac Firebirds, Tom Tracy, who played with the Detroit Lions for a little while. He was one of those guys that I can thank. I also wanted to thank my family, Chris and Crystal and Chase, and Susie and Leah, and Matthew and Zoe, Carter and Jen. You guys, you are my world. You are my world. So thank you for being here. And I'm going to say something I never thought in my lifetime I would say. Congratulations, fellow Hall of Fame members. Have a good evening.
Good evening, Roseville. This is so amazing to be able to be here to introduce my dad. Our family always loves to hear stories of my dad's growing up in Roseville, how him and his buddies would play ball for hours in the fields, how him and his mom played catch every day, and my personal favorite of all time, how he used to get a little scrappy in the schoolyard with a gentleman named Billy Burgess, who is now, by the way, famous in our house. My dad is one of the most positive people I know. When we were growing up, we were never allowed to say can't in our house. He didn't care why you were using the word, it was not allowed. My dad always said, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything. I think he might have gotten that sort of thinking when back in the day, a scout told him he would never go pro. That scout, who will remain anonymous, Bill LaJoy, told my father he had a hitch in his swing and would never make it. Ironically, that anonymous person, Bill LaJoy, worked for the Tigers, and I find it quite funny because later in my dad's career, he was considered the Tiger killer. Well, my friends, that guy from Roseville with the hitch in his swing played major leagues for 15 years. That guy from the Ville is a part of a baseball record, which is 10 home runs by one team in one game, in which my dad got 3 of those home runs. My father, who was born and raised in Roseville, was also an All-Star in 1985. My father has played in 1,328 games. He's had 938 hits, 134 home runs, and 534 RBIs. I Googled it. My dad has never forgotten where he came from or how hard he got to work here. He is so humble and appreciates all of his success. Even as kids, I remember him signing every autograph and taking every picture if asked. He has always been so proud of coming from Roseville, and I am so proud to introduce my hometown hero, my dad, Ernie Whitt.
Needless
needless to say, she got the genes for public speaking. Thank you, Ashley. That was awfully nice of the words for you to say. Again, what I'd like to do first is thank the induction committee, because I know it was awful difficult for all the tremendous athletes that have come through these doors here at Roseville. And I want to congratulate all the athletes that are being inducted today. It is quite an honor, and believe me, I accept this, and like Chris said, it's been a long time coming, and it's great to be here, be a part of this. You know, we always say that we have great foundations, and I've always, as an instructor, I've always worked from working a foundation, and I have to thank the coaches and teachers that I had here at Brablec High School, which is now Roseville High School. I had some tremendous teachers, instructors that guided me along the way. And the first two was my parents. They were very supportive of me in my career. They never pushed me, but they were there for the support. The second one that kind of guided me through is the late Dr. Leroy Heron, who was just a tremendous influence on me. At that time in my life, I could have gone either way. I could have gone with baseball. I could have gone into the streets in the city. So I give him a lot of thanks. I know he's not here, but I was able to talk to him before he passed, probably about 3 weeks before he passed, and shared my thoughts towards him on that. As growing up through high school, again, tremendous instructors, teachers, coaches. Once I got out of that, then I was able to get another supporter, and that being my wife. You know, we go through baseball, guys that have been through it. We have good times, we have, peaks and valleys. Good days, bad days. Believe me, there's a lot of days when I came home from the ballpark and I didn't want to be around anyone and basically just leave me alone. But she could tell on my face, and basically she learned baseball a little bit, knowing that I went 0 for 4, I wasn't going to be a happy camper. But I thank her for the support that I've had through my career, and I've been very fortunate to be able to come back to the city that I grew up in. And it's just amazing how much time that I spend here. My mom still lives right over on 13 Mile where I grew up, and she's still there. So it's great to be here. I want to thank my families, my granddaughters that are here, my son-in-law, my mother-in-law. Thank you for your support. And again, I'd like to congratulate all the inductees. It's an honor, and thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. I'm in a great position because I was able to be part of the committee to help select all of these great honorees. So I'm very pleased to have been part of it. It was a great opportunity. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Denny. Those guys took a vision and ran with it. I think this is going to turn out to be a phenomenal thing. And yes, it is way past overdue. Couple things I wanted to touch on before I talked about my good friend here. I'm really in a great position because I've been working for Roseville for almost 25 years, and I went through Roseville, graduated from Roseville. So either all but Mr. Whitt, I think I know pretty much all of the inductees. Either they were my coach, or they were my teammate, or I went to school with them, or I met him when I was athletic director. So I've got everybody is kind of in the mix. So I really feel like this is like big time family moments. So all of you guys are part of the family. I'm glad to be here, glad to be talking in front of all of you. So I just feel really, really good about today. And I know that sometimes we don't get a good rap in education, but I think this is a great opportunity for us to shine, have Roseville shine a little bit. So this is just an awesome moment. So give yourselves a hand for just being here, supporting everyone. Now I get to talk about my buddy. I had notes, but I'm not even gonna look at them. So in '89, And I know Mr. Commit, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was 89, no, it was 88 to 89 is when we merged schools, correct? So 88 to 89, we merged schools. I had been at the old Roseville where one year we had a ton of guys on the team, wrestling team that is, ton of guys on the team, but we were very bad. We were not good at all. The next year, we had like 6 guys on the team. So we were merging teams, merging schools. So we had kind of got to meet some of the guys at Brablec, and we were over here. So we merged teams, and we were okay, we were getting better, but we weren't good yet. And then that was my junior year, was the first year we had merged. So now my senior year, we started kind of feeling each other and understanding what we needed. And we had this one guy who, in wrestling, you got to have every weight class, or at least somebody decent at each weight class. You really got to fill each weight class to actually have a competitive team. And we had gotten to where we needed a couple of guys, and we had this one spot. It was like a 103, which is the smallest guy we had. We didn't have a spot. We didn't have anybody there. But we knew of this guy who was in 8th grade who was going to be coming. He's going to be in 9th grade the next year. And his name was Davon Gray. And we thought, oh man, he's been wrestling for a while. We never have guys, never have guys who could wrestle. We got a guy, he's going to come up, he's going to be good. I go and meet with him, and Davon tells me he's playing basketball. I'm like, dude, you like this big. You're not playing basketball. And he said, no, I'm not playing basketball. So me being the senior that year, I called his mother and said, this guy's been wrestling all his life. There's no way he's playing basketball. He says he's playing basketball. Just leave him alone. Let him play basketball. Needless to say, I did not leave him alone. I constantly called him. Actually, one time I had to actually go hunt him down because he missed a meet, and I had to chase him down the street, literally chase him down the street and make sure that he was at the next event. And then once we got to that point, once he got there and realized his potential, things started opening up for him a little bit. So we made it through, that high school reign of all that time. And I was here for him really the first year because I was a senior, he was a freshman. He ended up going through and qualifying for states his freshman year. That was kind of unheard of for a while. We hadn't had very many qualifiers. His second year, he ended up taking second in the state. So from qualifying to place, and in his junior and senior year, he won the state title both years. And then that same senior year, he was one of our national champions. So what they do in wrestling, and I don't know how it happens in other sports, but what they'll do in wrestling is they get all the state champions from all the states in the United States, and they go to one location and they have a wrestling match. And he won that wrestling match with all those people. So obviously he was not a basketball player. So I want to be little. And after he got through that moment, he ended up going to Central Michigan, getting a scholarship there. And then he actually went there and wrestled for 4 years. And then one of my big bonuses, when I became the athletic director here, he was one of my first hires. I hired him as the wrestling coach that replaced me. So without further ado, bringing up my boy, Davon Gray. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Devon's mom, and
We gotta bring you down.
You can see why he did get a chance to play basketball, although he was good. But I had the opportunity of coaching Devon myself. We drove all the way to Colorado, Ohio, for him to wrestle to be on the Olympic wrestling team, and he came in #1 with me coaching. And he got to wrestle in Budapest. So with that, I had just a little bit in his wrestling career.
All right, first of all, I want to say thank you. It's definitely an honor to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. There's a lot of great athletes. and one of my idols, believe it or not, is here, Brian Sikorski. You know, I might have, as a freshman, I see his name in the paper. I'm like, man, that guy's good. And what I'm trying to get is Roseville to me means something. Even when I was in ninth grade, when I was put on a Roseville single and I competed for Roseville, I knew how many great people stood behind Roseville. You know, you had Mr. Mickens, Joe Pantaleo, Brian Sikorski, and you felt like you had to represent your school. And just a little bit, like what Mage said, I started off with my mom. And how ironic is my first wrestling tournament was here at Roseville High School. I was 9 years old. And I remember like it was yesterday. I wound up wrestling a kid who was like 2 times, AU state champion. And I wound up losing to him. And so I'm crying, and my mom, I'm sitting on her lap, and she's telling me it's okay. It's okay, you know what I'm saying? So I wound up wrestling, and as I got better, things started, it was more about me, and as a mom, I guess I'm kind of blessed because it was just me and her, and she never told me, you need to be good here, you need to be there. She just let me wrestle, and as like my senior, for example, she took me everywhere, just me and her, and my senior year at the state tournament, I had a broke arm. Well, before the state tournament, I had broke my wrist. And if you see the picture, you can see I have a cast on my wrist, and that's before the state, after the state tournament. And me and my mom sitting in the doctor's office, and he said, well, you have a choice, either we put it in a cast now and it'll prevent you from having surgery, or you can go ahead and wrestle and see what you can do. So I look at my mom and I said, what do you, she's like, well, it's up to you. But I knew the regret that if I didn't wrestle in this tournament and I knew I could win, I would have this regret would go on for the rest of my life. So with that being said, she let me make my own decisions, and I continued to wrestle, and things just tended to fall into place. I owe a lot to my mom. I really do. If it wasn't for her, who knows where I would be. It was for Mr. Mickens. I might have been here for basketball, Hall of Fame for basketball. Who knows? But with that being said, I'm very honored. I'm honored of the people that I'm inducted with. It says a lot. And the one thing that I want everybody in this room to understand is, a lot of people, may not think Roseville is the best, but in my eyes and in my heart, I can honestly say I think Roseville is heads and above, any other school district. It's just a matter of us believing in ourselves. Same thing when I try to tell kids that I wrestle. If we believe in ourselves, we're better than the private schools, the Catholic Centrals, this is a great community. This is a great community to grow in. This is a great community to compete in. And like I said, Roseville means something. It really does. And I hope everybody understands that. So I'm going to leave it on that note. And once again, I appreciate it, and thank you once again.
Warn you guys, sometimes I can get emotional, so I'm not kidding either. First of all, I would like to personally recognize and congratulate the 7 other inductees. Your guys' resumes speak for themselves. Clap. Wow, I can't believe it's been 28 years and 100 more pounds for me since I played baseball here with my brother at Roseville High School. I was a senior, he was a sophomore, but to watch him play, you'd never know he was so young. His talent was undeniable. He was also quite the basketball player, Davon, in high school. But I think even he realized his future would be in baseball. Our parents raised us always to give 100% and that by working hard, anything is achievable. With that work ethic, my brother's last 3 years of high school saw him win MVPs, All-League, All-State honors. His senior year in 1992, he was invited to play in the Michigan High School All-Star baseball game at the Old Tiger Stadium. That summer, he was also invited to play in the Midwest team in the Junior Olympic Games held in Boise, Idaho, competing against top talent from around the United States, which included Alex Rodriguez, or some of you guys know him as A-Rod. His hard work and dedication did not stop on the field or basketball court. He was an outstanding student, which a lot of people don't know, earning the honor of salutatorian for the Roseville High School class of 1992. His excellence on the field and in the classroom earned him both baseball scholarship and an academic scholarship to attend Western Michigan University. At Western Michigan University, he once again thrived on and off the field, earning All-Academic, All-American, and MVP honors. At the end of his junior year at Western Michigan University, his outstanding play on the baseball diamond ultimately paid off. He was selected in the 4th round of the 1995 Major League Amateur Baseball Draft by the Houston Astros. For nearly 20 years, he would play professional baseball, playing for 4 different MLB organizations as well as 4 different NPB organizations, which is the professional league in Japan. He has earned numerous awards and been named to all-star teams at almost every professional level. He would end his professional career with 103 wins, 95 losses, 80 saves, 3.74 ERA, 1,654 innings pitched, and 1,480 strikeouts. He had a career most people would dream of. Not too bad for a kid from the Bill. My brother is the epitome of what can be achieved through hard work and dedication. He was a great baseball player, but has become an even better father, husband, uncle, and coach. It is with my honor to introduce my brother, Brian Sikorski.
You were right, a little emotional. So to lighten things up, I think I'm gonna pull a page out of my brother's book and sing a song like he did as my best man. Well, that's a joke, just to kind of. But I would like to thank the selection committee. This is a huge honor to go in with all these exceptional, great athletes. I'd also like to thank all the teachers, instructors that I had here at Roseville. I always told my son that, and my daughters, that your education is what you make of it. It doesn't matter where you go, how much you pay to go to school, or if you don't pay to go to school. There's great teachers in every building. And if you want to succeed, that you will. I'd also like to thank my family, my mom and dad, for instilling that work ethic and to strive to be the best that I possibly could be. I'd like to thank my brother and my sister, April. Without their support over the course of 20 years, 23 years including college, I wouldn't be here now. Their support, helped me on different continents. When my family wasn't there, or just a phone call or a iChat always helps, especially when you're in the biggest earthquake in Japan's history. And I would also like to thank my wife and my kids, Avery, Ella. My son Easton couldn't be here tonight. He's got a basketball game, so we're checking our phones for scores. But without their love and support, I wouldn't be here either. And a quick story about my wife. I think I was in my second year of professional baseball, and she'd come out to see me, and I didn't have a very good day. And I came home and, like Ernie referenced, that I wasn't very happy, but only Ernie got to play the next day. I had to wait another 5 days before I got back on the field. And I remember my wife looked me right in the eyes and said, well, if you're going to be a baby, I'm leaving. I'll drive 7 hours home. So chin up, and the sun will come up tomorrow, which was great advice. And really probably the #1 pitching coach of my career. And I'd also like to thank Mr. DeStefano. He was my coach here at Roseville, with my brother being his assistant. Mr. D didn't let me get away with anything. If anything, he expected more from me to lead my teammates and to just, he was a true professional. He wanted me to be a true professional, and he wouldn't let anything slide. And that work ethic and that drive that he helped instill in me made me what I am today. Last little story about the Ville, Roseville. I've had, Roseville holds a special place in my heart because at every level, whether it was high school with Mr. DeStefano, I went to Western Michigan, and a fellow inductee tonight, Rich Maloney, recruited me there. And then I get drafted, and I come back, and I'm working out at Macomb Community College, and Ernie's coaching there and says, hey kid, you want to earn a couple bucks and work with some pitchers at my academy? So over the course of my career, Roseville has always been there, and Roseville will always hold a special place in my heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having this night for all the athletes. You know, I look across the room and I see everybody I know. I've been growing up in Roseville, went to school here, work here 25 years in Roseville, so it's been great. Growing up as a kid in Roseville, I was a bowler, and I'd get on my bike and we'd drive up to all the 17 bowling alleys that were in Roseville. Put our balls on the back of our rack for our papers, and we'd go up there and we'd always say, hey, I want to be like Harry Sullins. He's a Roseville bowler. You know, you'd watch him on TV on Saturdays, and back then, you know, nobody ever knew that bowling, I think it was in the 80s, had a better rating than the Super Bowl did. That's how good, with all the guys on Channel 7 and Earl Anthony, and there was Harry on TV. And after that, after all his bowling stuff, he was drilling balls over at Wojak's Pro Shop on Fraser and Grash. It's still there. Matter of fact, he drilled a couple bowling balls for me. But during Harry's career here at Roseville, class of 1975, he played JV baseball, football, and back then they had a club hockey team, and he was there. His records speak for themselves: 68 300 games, 34 800 series, 33 PBA 50 regional wins, 5 regular tour wins, 3 PBA 50 tour wins. His career accomplishments included a World Open title in Finland in 1990, 3-time Metro Detroit Senior Masters champion, 2-time Michigan State Senior Master Championship, a Super Senior Master Champion, and over 55 high-level championships in his career. His other Hall of Fames, nothing equals to the Roseville Hall of Fame, but they're Metro Detroit Bowling Hall of Fame, the Michigan State Bowling Hall of Fame, the Michigan Majors Bowlers, and the USBC National Hall of Fame. Later in my career, you know, after I grew up and I'm bowling still, a couple of years ago, probably 4 years ago, a guy calls me from work and says, hey, let's go to Shores Lanes, we're bowling a league together, I'm getting back into bowling. I says, okay. So we go up on a Friday night, and no big deal. And who walks in the door on my team? Harry Sullins. I said, holy smokes, I've been looking up to this guy for all these years. And now I'm getting to bowl with him. I said, I'm picking his mind. And I'm thinking, well, he's a pro athlete. There is no way he's going to talk to this guy he doesn't know or whatever. And sure enough, that year was probably the one year I bowled full time. And after all those amazing compliments, Harry was just a down-to-earth guy, all-around good guy that I'm proud to know. And he would help me no matter what. You know, he'd tell me, hey, you ducked your shoulder, you did all this stuff. And one example I can share with you would be, you know, just a Friday night at the bowling alley. He helped me perfect my game. Towards the end of the year, he didn't show up. He was probably bowling on tour again because it was the end of the year for us, and the spring tour was starting. And I shot my first 800 series. And I know I wouldn't have shot it without Harry's help and tutelage of him showing me what to do. So without further ado, I'd like to congratulate your induction in the first Roseville High School's first Hall of Fame class of 2008. And with that,
Hi there, good evening, and thanks for, hopefully it's a great night for all of us inductees, and thanks for the committee, and hey, I'm here for a t-shirt. Anyways, yeah, thanks. Of course, I think back, tonight is the first time I've heard in reference to the Ville. What is the Ville? For some of you people, I guess it is Roseville. Of course, for my instance, the first time I actually did hit the pro tour, someone asked me where I was from, and I told them Roseville. Oh, Minnesota? No, wrong state. But anyways, they learned where Roseville, Michigan was from. And it's kind of funny, but my athletic career through high school, I guess you might say as I got into college, it got kind of sidetracked, like when you're heading down the freeway and you take the wrong exit. Well, for whatever reason, in college, I got into bowling because in your free time, when you're bowling tournaments and they're giving you prize money back after bowling, that was better than volunteering to play for a sport. I couldn't figure out not getting paid, like, help me out here. Of course, through the years, I did hear one familiar name a few minutes ago, and let me say hello to Mr. DeStefano. Glad to see you, sir. Of course, my day through school, yes, it was in the early 70s, so if there's anyone left from the 70s here, okay, yes, we are old. But yes, through the years, as Pat mentioned, some of the records, you can only try to do as good as you can do as the accolades build up, as Mr. Sikorski mentioned, traveling a little bit of the world. Sorry, I missed him in Japan when I was there a few times. So nice for being into baseball. Luckily, as he mentioned, yes, over in Europe, I've been there a few times and ended up winning a World Open. When you can compete with major athletes from around the world and become number one, it's good. So, but anyways, bowling here, yes, I grew up here, been here most of my life. Of course, I moved around a little bit, Sterling Heights and now out in Chesterfield. But for some of you older people, Apollo Lanes at 12 Mile, of course, back then was the Joe DiCarlo Lanes. Well, that's where it all started in 1960. So, as I mentioned, some of the old people, do you remember Joe DiCarlo Lanes? Well, as that changed, it became Dorable. And if you don't remember Dorable, D-O was for Dorothy and R-A was for Ralph. Not to mention names, but yes, that was my great aunt and uncle. So they can take a small pleasure in Dorable. But that was in the Sullins family name for a few years until now it's the ABC Apollo Bowling Center. But yes, for being in this area, for the people who don't know, this is the bowling capital of the world in the Metro Detroit area. So if you become somebody, well, as Pat mentioned, a few Hall of Fames, and yes, this is a little extra special. It's the Ville Hall of Fame. So, and to be part of the inaugural one, that's really fabulous. My parents, of course, my mother, she's still kicking. She'll be 95 next month. And I got to think, I think they moved here in 1947 after World War II. So, Sullins' name, been around a while. We're still here. So with that, thanks very much. Thanks for a great evening. And, I got to think about this. How do you say go Panthers? It's Wildcats or Cougars? All right, thank you very much.
First of all, I'd like to thank all the original inductees to the Roseville Hall of Fame. As I was thinking, there was about 65 to 70 years of Roseville athletes, and these were the top 8 selected for this honor. Quite an accomplishment, so I think that deserves a round of applause. I also like to thank the people who made this Hall of Fame a reality. I'm certain that this athletic wall of fame will not only honor the old athletes, but I think it's going to help inspire the new ones. It's my honor to introduce, and I already told my other nephews that I'm going to refer to Rich as my favorite nephew tonight. Don't take it personal. But it's going to be my honor to introduce Richie Maloney as one of the inductees. Richie was a 3-sport star at Roseville. He received all league and all county honors in both football and baseball. Richie's hard work and determination paid off as he received the baseball scholarship to Western Michigan, where he was honored as an All-American shortstop in his senior year. Richie was then drafted by the Atlanta Braves. Richie played 6 seasons in the minor league system for the Braves. I remember him telling the story about meeting Hank Aaron. That was pretty cool. After deciding to pursue a coaching career, Rich started as an assistant to Fred Decker, the head baseball coach at Western, which seems to be a lot of people around here seem to go to Western Michigan. Richie was soon offered the head coaching position at Ball State, where he built a great program, and there was an article in the paper where he was considered one of the top young coaches in America. He then accepted the University of Michigan head coaching job. He made Michigan one of the top baseball programs in the Midwest. Leaving Michigan under dubious circumstances, Richie returned to Ball State and has continued his record of excellence. I'm going to read off some of Richie's accomplishments. As I said, Richie had one of his people send me all the things that he did as a coach, so you know you're pretty successful when you got people. During Richie's coaching career, he has won over 700 games. He has led the Cardinals to 4 MAC regular season titles, 6 Western Division crowns, and 2 40-win seasons. At Michigan, Rich guided the Wolverines to 3 Big Ten titles, 2 tournament championships, and the 2007 regional championship. Individually, Rich was named the Midwest Coach of the Year in both 2007 and 2008. Finally, Rich has mentored over 58 drafted baseball players, including his son Alex, who last year was drafted by the Chicago White Sox. I'm sure as we've heard all these athletes talk about all the people that have helped them along the way, none of you could make these, none of us can achieve these types of honors without a lot of support. And Richie had a lot of support from family and friends. I saw firsthand the many sacrifices that Eddie and Carol, Richie's parents, made. They made sure that Richie and his brothers Frank and Sean had every opportunity to pursue their dreams and their goals. A lot of the people have talked about the teachers and the coaches who also played an important role in Richie's success. And some are here tonight to share in his honor. And finally, Coach, and Ernie talked about it, I coached a little bit up at Stevenson High School myself. You got to have a great wife and family. You got to have someone to support you. And Richie hit the lottery when he met his lovely wife, Kelly. Got his beautiful daughter, Natalie, and his 2 sons, Alex and Nick. In conclusion, I can think of no better coach a family could entrust their son to play baseball for. A man of total integrity, strong character, and a great faith. He's a Hall of Fame son, a Hall of Fame brother, husband and father, and most importantly to me, he's a Hall of Fame nephew. My nephew, Richie Maloney. that's my favorite uncle. Well, this is a very, very special evening for me and my family, and certainly for all of us to be honored as inductees into the Roseville, the first class. It's really, really very special. So I'm humbled by this honor. Congratulations to all the inductees. And Roseville's been a very, very special place to me personally and to my family. This is our home. Always will be. And without the foundation and the things I learned in growing up in Roseville, I certainly wouldn't have had the success that I've been able to have in the places I've been fortunate to be in. First and foremost, I do have a deep faith, and I got to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because without Him, I certainly wouldn't have been blessed the way that I've been blessed, and I'm very thankful for that. I want to thank my teachers. Starts off with my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Dawson. Mrs. Dawson was inspiration to me because she was the first one who really challenged me to think big. She got me to dream, and she believed in me, and she got me to write. And Mr. D knows how poor my English was. I actually ended up becoming an English major, believe it or not. Knowing where I came from, that's pretty remarkable. But a lot has to do with the start Mrs. Dawson gave me. And I wrote a book in her class. She had me in 5th and 6th grade, and I wrote a little book with another classmate. And my bucket list is to write a book. And I'm writing that book now. And that's a tribute to Mrs. Dawson, what I learned in Roseville. So thank you, Mrs. Dawson, wherever you are today. I want to thank my coaches, because the reason why I'm a coach is because I've been privileged to have so many coaches breathe into me, believe into me, get me to dream, encourage me, kick me in the rear when I needed to be kicked, but most of all, love on me. Coach Bojo's here, my football coach. I loved my experience in Roseville football. It's one of the greatest experiences of my life. And we've become dear friends over the years, and I just thank you, Coach, for that wonderful experience. Mr. D, obviously Brian said great things about you, as I will as well. You believed in all of us. You inspired us. You encouraged us. You challenged me in my English, not just my shortstop play. And I'm very, very thankful for that. You've been a dear friend and brother. So thank you for being an inspiration to me. John Blatnick couldn't be here today. Him and Sharon Blatnick. Sometimes in your life, the good Lord puts special people. And Mr. and Mrs. Blatnick, they took me to Western Michigan. They took me to the University of Michigan. They took me to basketball games at Michigan State. They took a bunch of us, but the baseball games, quite honestly, I would be the only one to go. And we would spend a weekend watching these kids play, and I got to dream. And when I got to be the Michigan coach, I know it meant a lot to Mr. B, but he would come back and work my camps. And he'd spend a whole month with me and mentor me. And really, in my life, that mentoring has been very, very significant. So I am very, very thankful to all my coaches. And I give a lot of credit to Mr. and Mrs. Blatnick for influencing my life in a special way. And I know they're here with me in heart, for sure. When you grow up, to be successful, you have to have a lot of different people influence your life. And I was raised in a family where most of my relatives lived literally within blocks of each other. You don't see that much today. And even though we didn't have giant houses and we didn't have super big material things, what we did have is an extremely loving family. And everybody cared about each other and everybody rooted for one another. And that's home for me, because that's where real living is. It's in our relationships. And I had that with my family, and I have that with my family. My mom and dad laid a great foundation. I had the privilege of being the first one of 19 grandchildren at the time to go to college, and that was something that my parents had to sacrifice. My mom was a homemaker. They still live over in Martin and Larry Street over there, and I'm proud to say I grew up in Roseville, extremely proud and thankful. I think it's the dirtbag mentality that I carry with me, I sell to my team, is what I developed here in Roseville. And my dad was a machinist, and he sacrificed for the good of the family. And it was hard for them to send me off to college, but they did. They sacrificed a lot. And they did the same for my brothers, Frank and Sean, who I'm very close with and love dearly, and I'm very, very proud of. And my brother Sean's a coach, and my brother Frank, he got more of the artistic talent, and he's been at General Motors for 30 years and been extremely successful. I'm very, very proud of him. So my mom and dad were inspiration. My mom couldn't be here today, but I know she's very supportive and loving, and so I couldn't have asked for better parents. My grandfather would be very proud on this particular day. He's not with us any longer, but he had great influence in my life. I need to recognize him. Without further ado, I also want to recognize my wife, Kelly. Today is our anniversary, and our 28 years. And God blessed me with a tremendous gift. She's from Fraser. We won't hold that against her. But nevertheless, when you're married to a coach and a baseball player, as Brian and Ernie alluded to, the spouses play a bigger role than anyone could imagine because we're gone a lot. And the sacrifices that our wives make is significant. And any good coach or any good baseball player who plays at a high level cannot do it without the support of their significant other. And my wife's been a partner in my journey. Without question, it's her journey too. So any awards I get are hers too. So thank you. A little bit more I'd like to say this is that my kids, Alex, Nick, and Natalie, who we love dearly, who are the apple of our eyes, and we're so proud of them. And two of them are here today. Nick couldn't be here, but we're so thankful. I'm so proud of them and their accomplishments. But I want to also say that I think it's significant to say that in our lifetime, we all have a chance to achieve. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter your circumstance. It comes down to a belief in yourself, and I learned that belief here when I was at Roseville. People encouraged me and loved on me and challenged me. And because of that, any blessings that I've gotten in my career stem right from the beginning, right where I was raised. And I'll never, ever forget that. And the last thing I'm going to say is my friends that I learned in my class, my 1982 class, and we were the Roseville Wildcats then. And I'm proud to say that. Alicia and John are here today, and my best buddy since 8th grade, Nick, is here. And we are very, very close, that group, still to this day. We just celebrated our 35th year reunion, and it was very special. But not many people are able to have friendships like we have. And I'm very thankful for that and thankful for all of them. So anyway, thank you. I'm so proud of Roseville, and God bless all of you.
Hey folks, this is my 25th year in the district. I'm a school social worker and I'm still coaching. Somebody said earlier, I was a West Sider. The East Side was another state. So it's one of the best decisions I made. Coming to Roseville and seeing people like yourselves. So I'm lucky enough to know a few of the inductees. Obviously, Vanessa. Who coached, we coached. Stan, Coach Miz, who is a friend and a mentor. Davon, in the district, has worked in the district and kind of saw his and Harry, I've known his brother Bruce, and Harry for years, and his mom, they've done my plaques for track and for cross country for years. So, and then obviously Rich and Joe and Brian and Ernie, I know of your accolades, obviously, and during the heyday of Toronto and the Tigers, when they were going at it, that was quite the rivalry. So I'm privileged to be here, thanks to Vanessa for honoring me that way, and Coach Lamberti, couldn't be here tonight. I wish he was here to see this. But Vanessa, I tell you, she told me the other night that Mr. Maher passed away. So just last year. So he's here with you and with your mom and the rest of your family, Chad, and the rest of your family. So he's overseeing all of this. But Vanessa, she 4 years in a row she went to the state finals. That's remarkable. As a sophomore, again, one of the bios was wrong. They said she won in 2003. She won in 2001 as a sophomore. She won the state title, and she went her junior year, senior year. She actually jumped very well. It was, in fact, I think it was a junior year. I was trying to, the standards broke, there was a rain delay, and those kids were jumping after the entire state finals was over. It was over. And they had already given the team awards, individual awards, and here's Vanessa and the rest of the jumpers who are surviving is still out there jumping, and pretty remarkable. And she, she got so she won the title and won, and still went into his third and fourth year. She went to Nebraska, obviously had a full scholarship. God, how prideful was that for everybody, Our high school record is 5'8", and I remember it was a Saturday. It was at Cousino, and it was either Sterling Heights or De La Salle Invite. It was a beautiful Saturday, and Vanessa jumped this 5'8" outdoors, and it was like, wow. I mean, we went nuts. I remember Lambo and I going nuts. And then, I remember her senior year. She had a great year in the indoor season, which we really, we went up to the University of Michigan, and she jumped. It was Coach Lamberti and I were up there, and here, if you know a big invitational, as a lot of you do, there's a lot going on, man. There's people on the track. There's everything going on, and all of a sudden, here's Vanessa in the middle of the track. And they're announcing Vanessa Maher from Roseville is attempting an indoor state record at 5'10" and a half. And talk about the concentration, man. There's stuff going on. Everybody sort of stops and is watching her to do this. And she cleared it. And it was like, the place went wild. Not just the two of us. The place went wild. So it was pretty special. She got in 2005, she got a track and field letter at the University of Nebraska, and this is something I didn't know. She was third place in the Big 12 track and field championships. And Vanessa, the thing about her, she was a great athlete. It wasn't just that she was a good high jumper. She ran the 400. We'd put her in the 800 occasionally, but she always ran the mile relay. She was always in our mile relay, and she embraced that. She wanted that. She wasn't just focused on the high jump and not helping the team in any way she could. So she was really, just a real team player. And, people kind of forget, she was a 3-time letter winner in basketball here. She actually got some Division II scholarship offers for basketball. And obviously she earned 4 varsity letters in track and field from us. She was a real touchstone, real team player, like I said. And she, she was never above the team. She obviously a great student, great athlete, but more than that, a great person. And you'd never know it. Because she was in the hunt all the time. Year after year. And we were the newspapers were coming out and interviewing her before practice and things like that. And she never let it get even though she dated the football star, that quarterback ended up marrying him. But, but she really did. So, it was pretty special. And their senior year, Chad and Vanessa's senior year, Chad really, he ran the 400, and he was not running in the fast heat. He won his heat, and he jumped over two of the guys in the fast heat and qualified for the state finals. So their senior year, they went up to the state finals together, which was pretty cool. And that year, we took like 9 kids up to the state finals, and that was pretty special. And we had some good years, like when Stan and Pete were coaching. So, we took quite, some big groups up there. And I have to admit this, and I told Vanessa and I told Chris I was going to, after 15 years, my Catholic guilt, Mr. Comment, John, I took the van up there, and as I always did and stuff. A couple of years we'd take the bus, and you'd have to pay for a bus driver up there. But I took the van, and all of a sudden, Coach Lamberti was going to meet us up there, and I said, well, and you're only allowed to take 7 kids in the van, And we had 9, and so I go to Vanessa, and I go, Vanessa, just talk to your folks. Tell them that, you're going up with them, and you're taking one of the kids with you, and I named one of the kids, not even Chad. So, so we actually cheated. I took 9 kids, and we, and I had to tell you, and so, but anyway, so we took 9 kids up there, and it was great, and we saved the district money. We didn't have to pay for a bus driver overnight. We didn't have to pay for the bus. We just had the van, but we packed them in there. So, but that was Vanessa's senior year. So, anyway, so she's a real special individual, and very, very proud of her, and proud of all of you. So, Vanessa, 2018 inductee to the Hall of Fame.
Wow, thank you so much for those kind words, Coach O. It's kind of nice to go last at these things because you gain a lot of inspiration from those that have spoken before you. And one phrase that comes to mind is that it takes a village to raise a child. And my goodness, did I have the best village here in Roseville to help me on my journey through high school and then on to college. I can't help but sit here and thank my coaches, many of which who are here today, Coach McCool, Major Mickens, Coach O, as you mentioned, Coach Lamberti. Not only did you all teach me how to be a team player, but you taught me the science behind the sport. Coach O, you and Coach Lamb taught me the science behind high jump. Not only was it about jumping as high as I could, but the plyometric drills and the countless hours laying down the J on the high jump pit to get my steps down. And I can't help but thank the many, many teachers and administration here at Roseville Community Schools, Mr. Hedmark, where are you? Mr. Rice, Mr. Mickens again as athletic director, making sure that I was getting good marks on the track, but also getting good marks in the classroom as well too. My husband, my high school best friend and boyfriend, and now husband, there was never a jump that I took that you weren't there to witness and cheer me on come rain or shine. You were there. Kathy, you and Kev, the Blairs, Cartneys, you welcomed me into your family, and your insane generosity is beyond words. Thank you. And last but not least, my wonderful parents, my mom and dad, my biggest fans, taught me everything that I know. She packs the best lunches you can ever imagine. On those track meet days, I'm telling you, those Saturdays are some of the longest Saturdays you can think of. And I, of course, chose to do the very first event and also the very last event, the 4x4. And my mother always made sure that I had the warmest clothes and the best lunches, and you and Dad were there for every meet and every single jump, and I love you both and love you all so much, and I'm just so honored to be up here today. And what a great feeling to know that I'm going to leave my mark here after I've left these halls, and that's never going to go away. But what an even better feeling is to know that hopefully one day that my story, my accomplishments can inspire another young female athlete to do the same. So I congratulate you all so much. You're all wonderful, amazing athletes, and I thank the committee and the school district for just bestowing this amazing honor. I am truly, truly humbled, and thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce Joe Pantaleo tonight, but I had to phone a friend to help me with that, so we're going to see how this works out. You're on.
Hello, everybody. I don't know if you can hear me. Diane, can they hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. Thank you. This is David Pantaleo. I'm calling from Virginia, and I wanted to be there, Joe, but unfortunately I couldn't be there. But I wanted to be part of this ceremony. It's an honor to be part of this. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Joe's older brother. I actually introduced him to the sport of wrestling, and it's an incredible honor that the Roseville High School would induct him to the Hall of Fame, and I'm so honored to be part of it. You know, the sport of wrestling is a hard sport. To achieve greatness, it requires hard work, discipline, dedication, and perseverance. And Joe took his attributes to a higher level, a level that those in the wrestling community throughout the United States aspired to be part of. Rarely in a lifetime do you find someone that you want to emulate, that you hold up as a hero, and I believe Joe held me up as somebody to emulate. While even rarer is it that that person that you hold up as a hero comes to emulate you, to heroize you. And Joe, I want you to know something. You are my hero in the sport of wrestling. You know, God has gifted you with incredible skills and abilities and perseverance, and Joe, you use those abilities to glorify Him. So, well done to you, and well done to RHS for inducting you into the Hall of Fame. I want to thank those other Pantaleos that might be in the audience, and those family members, including Larry and Jeanette Williams, that might be out there to represent us and to honor Joe. And I'll turn it over to you, Diane, but it's just an honor to be here, and thank you for allowing me to be part of it.
Thanks, Danny. I was going to cover Joe's highlights, and I have been flagged that we have to get out to halftime. So it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the champion of my heart, Joe Pantaleo.
Well, thank you. It's where to start. First of all, brother, you are my hero. That goes without saying, as my whole family are. More importantly, much like my good friend Rich, I am a man of faith, and so without anything, I am nothing without my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And if anybody ever wants to learn about that, feel free to contact me. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about my testimony and how God and Jesus saved me. It's that Amazing Grace song. If He can save a wretch like me, He can save you. Okay? So that's first and foremost. So again, I open myself up to anybody who wants to have a conversation. You don't accomplish things, and we've heard this over and over again, without people around you. Okay? Nothing ever gets done. And I'm fortunate that I've had some great people around me.
First and foremost, that started off with my mom and dad, Al and Rose Pantaleo, who lived on Hayes. They both passed on. They raised 9 kids. All of them went through Roseville Public Schools. Okay? I'm number 8, by the way, just in case you're wondering. So, starting with my oldest brother, Al, Roselle, Larry and Lily, the twins, Marlene, then the 3 boys, Danny, Michael, and Joe. It was never Danny or Michael. It was always Danny, Michael, and Joe. I always took along. And then Kathy. Kathy had a hard time dating after the 3 of us when we were in high school. But anyways, I digress a little bit. So growing up in a family of 9 in a 1,000 square foot bungalow, you were always wrestling, or even though we didn't know it. Okay? Danny got us first into the sport through Andy Delia, our high school wrestling coach, in a junior high tournament. I didn't start until I was in 7th grade. Danny started pretty much in 9th grade. Back then, freshmen didn't compete at the high school level. And Danny, in his own right, in 2 years, basically wrestled, I think, 3 matches as a 9th grader, and then came out as a sophomore. Danny, in his own right, finished 3rd in the state as a senior with only 2 years of experience, and went on to become a 3-time All-American at Olivet College and a national champion. My brother Mike, who was in between Danny and I, was along the same lines. And that's the one thing I want to talk about, is how wrestling changed our lives, changed the trajectory, especially for it gave us a new focus, a new way to see the world. I've got to travel the world. Trust me, Krasnoyarsk, Russia, in the middle of Siberia in January is not the place you want to be wrestling in an ice rink. Okay, but I got to do that. Or for them to say, hey, we want to show you one of our beautiful sites here in Russia and take you up a ski mountain to the mountaintops, again, in the middle of Siberia during January. Okay, or travel in France. I got to meet Fidel Castro, regardless of politics. I got to meet the world leader the leader of Cuba at a wrestling tournament in Cuba. Okay? So, you sit there and you think about what wrestling has done for my life. I got to see the world. More importantly, I got to change my own life, because here's the thing, we're blue-collar people, right? Roseville's blue-collar people, right? I got my older brothers and sisters, after they graduated, found a factory job, or my dad owned a gas station, just like, you said, Rich, our parents sacrificed for a family. I wish that was happening more today, but that's a whole nother story. But wrestling, because I got introduced to it, and Danny was the first one to go to college in my family. So I was like, I got to go to college. And I was fortunate enough to go to the University of Michigan. And have an opportunity to compete on ESPN. I was on TV 2 times. I'm like, on ESPN, really? Joe Pantaleo from Roseville, Michigan. By the way, I had a lot more hair then. I want to talk about that, and how that impacts the next generation. My nieces and nephews now have a path to go, to understand that you got to continue to not just settle for where you graduated high school from, that you improve yourself by stretching yourself. And because Danny went to college, Michael went to college, I went to college, my older sister, who's 10 years older than I am, and I started college at the same time. Okay, I went to the University of Michigan. She went to Macomb for 2 years, transferred to the nursing program at Wayne State. We graduated the same year, 1990. She graduated from Wayne State in the nursing program, summa cum laude. I graduated from the University of Michigan in the education department, summa cum lucky. But I graduated. They don't ask how, they just ask, did you? Anyways, so I want to go back a step or two because as I'm 51 and congratulations, Rich, 28 years, outstanding. Tomorrow I turn 51, so it's a big weekend. My sophomore year, my freshman year, I finished 6th in the state. Okay, I set goals, and that's something I can't even tell you how important that is for your life, to set goals and continue to strive to reach those goals, whether you're a 15-year-old kid, a 25-year-old new beginning adult, or a guy 51 or 71. Always have goals. Gives you purpose. Okay, but my goal is to be a 4-time undefeated state champ. I said, if you're going to dream, you might as well dream big. Okay, I don't think there had ever been one at that time. Well, I lost my first high school match. Okay, actually I had 13 losses in high school. 7 of them were to 2 guys. One of them is a pretty good friend of mine now. I keep asking for a rematch, but he won't give it to me. I have another loss outside of I'll tell that story later, but anyways. So I placed 6th in the state my freshman year. Sophomore year, I went to camp. I'm ready to go. I'm training hard with my brother. And Coach Joe, you remember this because I got the picture in my phone. And if you want to see the picture of you kneeling over the top of me, I'll show you. And I, by the way, love playing for you. Why did you leave and go to Brablec? I still won't forgive you for that, but I love you. Sophomore year, 5th play of the game against Grosse Pointe South, 36 dive. We started the ball. We got the ball on our own 20-yard line. We've been Grosse Pointe South ranked number 2 in the state. We got like 2 wins in 7 games that we played already. You know, we weren't very good, but we were driving that ball, 36 dive. Boom! I hit that. Boom! I hit that hole. Took it. I heard a crack, and I'm like, "What's that crack?" Fell backwards, and I just heard my teammates go, "Oh my God! Oh my God!" I'm like, what? And I looked down and I couldn't see my foot. I'm like, where's my foot? It's supposed to be at the end of my leg. Well, it was, but my leg was over here. So my leg did it down and out. That was, to this day, the best thing that ever happened to me. It's funny how God works that way. It's real funny how God works that way. I broke my leg. All I remember is Buds being over the top, my brother, having intermittent pain, screaming. As I'm getting, thankfully we were at Grosse Pointe South, because they're white collar. Orthopedic doctor of a parent in the stands came out and set my leg right there on the field. I was like, if I'm gonna break it, might as well break it here. But that's the greatest thing to happen to me. Because of this and what happened. It's funny again how God works. So I get a cast up to here. I remember saying, am I going to be able to wrestle? And a guy, we don't think so. You know, I got cast up to here for the 12 weeks. I get out of my cast, and they give me a walking cast. So I'm like banging this thing against the wall, trying to break it. And it's just, the end of December or the end of January, I'm wrestling. I go out, I don't place in the state. But I qualified and didn't place. And then the next 2 years, I won 2 titles. But what happened about 2 weeks after I broke my leg was this. I was walking through the hallways on my crutches. I was carrying my books. And I dropped a book. And actually, I dropped all my books. And the prettiest girl with the most angelic voice said to me, "Do you need help?" I said, "Yeah." And that girl was Diana. Diana and I met in the hallways of Roseville High School on the 2nd floor because I broke my leg. I'd been there already a year and a half, hadn't seen her, didn't know her. But because God put me in that position. A month ago, January 5th, Diane and I got engaged in that hallway. Okay? And we're going to be married at the end of February. Or, excuse me, end of March. So, took 36 years. but because God did that. I got to reunite with her, meet her, reunite 36 years later. And then becomes the bonus. And that's Lacey May. And I just hope that Lacey can be the eloquent speaker that you are, Vanessa. You know, the charismatic, Ernie, the fortitude, right? Brian, where you at, Brian? There you are. The perseverance. Talk about perseverance. If I lost a match, sometimes I could have a second match that same day, and I could get that out of my system. Perseverance. To have to wait 5 days, patience to read, because we all athletes, we know it. We got to redeem ourselves. Harry, dedication and discipline. The skill that it takes to roll 68 300 games.
I'm still trying.
Yeah, well, you know, I think I broke 100 like 4 times. So, you know, but by the way, you know, here's the thing I've learned. I'm 51 now. I can't wrestle, but I can probably still go play bowl. I can go bowl, right? So there's some, you know, aspects to that. Davon, you know, we chewed the same dirt. And here's the thing that I love about your story, Davon, is we're tied together. And the reason why we're tied together, even though we're 10, 12 years apart from a wrestling standpoint, is you came through the Roseville Wrestling Club. My dad and Mr. Hodges started that club in 1980. And we started in guest. And so to see the fruits of what you've done because of Mr. Hodges and my dad just makes me all warm. Now I know we gotta go. Okay? And Chris is letting me know right now I gotta go.
It's halftime.
Okay. But all of you, thank you. I'm with you, by the way. It's Roseville, it's not the Ville to me. But thank you. Thank you to the committee. Okay? I'm going to talk about one other person, and I'm sorry I'm going to talk about him, because I think he's the epitome, truly, to me, the epitome of what this community is about, and that's Major. Major, if I would have had children, I would want my young man to be just like you. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Thank you again. I appreciate it. I'm honored. Thank you.
Our first inductee is 2003 graduate Vanessa Blair. Vanessa set and still owns both the Roseville High School and state level track record in the high jump. While at Roseville High School, Vanessa won a state championship and received all-state recognition. She attended the University of Nebraska on scholarship, earning additional accolades at the collegiate level. Roseville Hall of Famer, Vanessa Blair. Our next inductee is 1994 graduate Davon Gray. Davon won 2 state wrestling championships while at Roseville High School, earning first-team All-State honors and a high school national championship. He attended Central Michigan University on scholarship and in 2010 returned to Roseville High School, where he spent 5 years as the school's head wrestling coach. Roseville Hall of Famer, Davon Gray. Our next inductee is a 1982 graduate, Rich Maloney. Rich earned all-state honors in baseball while at Roseville High School and attended Western Michigan University on scholarship. He played 6 seasons in the Atlanta Braves minor league system before going into coaching. Rick spent 10 years as the head coach of the University of Michigan baseball team and is currently the head coach at Ball State University. Roseville Hall of Famer, Rich Maloney. Our next inductee is a 1965 graduate, Stan Mizinski. Stan set Roseville High School track records in the long jump, the 120-meter high hurdles, and the 180-meter low hurdles. He attended Western Michigan University on scholarship, where he was part of an American and world record-setting hurdle relay team. Stan would go on to play 2 years of semi-professional football and would eventually return to Roseville Community Schools, where he spent 15 years as both a teacher and coach. Roseville Hall of Famer Stan Mizinski. Our next inductee is 1970 Brablec High School graduate Ernie Whitt. Ernie played varsity baseball while at Brablec High School and attended Macomb Community College. He was drafted by the Boston Red Sox and later selected by the Toronto Blue Jays in their expansion draft. Ernie would spend 12 seasons as a Blue Jay and 15 seasons overall as a major leaguer. He has been inducted into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and is currently both a catching coordinator with the Philadelphia Phillies and the manager of the Canadian National Baseball Team. Roseville Hall of Famer Ernie Whitt. Our next inductee is 1985 graduate Joe Pantaleo. Joe won 2 state wrestling championships while at Roseville High School, wrestling for 2 seasons without ever losing a match. He would attend the University of Michigan on scholarship, where he would become a 2-time All-American. Joe would go on to wrestle all around the world. Roseville Hall of Famer Joe Pantaleo. Our next inductee is a 1992 graduate, Brian Sikorski. Brian earned several baseball honors while at Roseville High School, including All-State recognition, and attended Western Michigan University on scholarship. He was drafted by the Houston Astros and would later play on the Major League level with the Texas Rangers, San Diego Padres, and Cleveland Indians. Brian also played 10 seasons in the Japanese Major Leagues, where he was an All-Star. He is currently a full-time scout for the Texas Rangers. Roseville Hall of Famer Brian Sikorski. Our final inductee is 1975 graduate Harry Sullins. Harry is a world-renowned professional bowler. He has won 30 regional titles, 7 Michigan Majors Bowling Association championships, 5 PBA Tour titles, 3 PBA 50 Tour titles, and 1 world title. Harry has been inducted into 4 different bowling Hall of Fames at both the state and national level, and is one of the top 50 all-time career PBA money makers. Roseville Hall of Famer Harry Sullins. Let's give our Roseville High School Athletic Hall of Fame class of 2018 another big round of applause.